Hey, welcome Mankato Library friends. This is Mike Presby. I'm glad you've tuned in to enjoy our new summer reading program show, Imagine the Magic of Your Story. This whole summer is about fantasy and fairy tales, but more importantly, it's about using your imagination. And I'm going to share my story with you of how I became a magician by using my imagination and dreaming some big dreams. Now I have one question for you, and that is this. Are you ready for the show? You are? Well then, let's get busy, sit back, and enjoy. Imagine the magic of your story. Welcome to the show. Are you guys ready for some magic? I know I am. Let's make some happen. Keep your eyes here. 1, 2, 3, and... Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Mike Presby and I'm glad to be here with you. This is my little friend Hocus, my little bunny. He travels with me everywhere. And we wish we could be with you there in person, but we're glad that you've tuned in today. We're going to have a lot of fun. Our show is called Imagine the Magic of Your Story. I'll be sharing some things of my story, and maybe our friend Hocus will make his appearance a little bit later in the show. I want to thank you again for tuning in, and let's get on with the show. Well, that was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed meeting my friends Aladdin and Jasmine, my birds, and also Hocus the bunny rabbit. And hopefully Hocus will be back a little bit later in the show. You know, a lot of people ask me, what is my story? How did I get started doing magic? What was my inspiration? Well, when I was about 8 years old, I saw a magician. And he did exactly what I did. He made some birds appear, and he made a rabbit appear. And I was just in awe. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know how he did it. And I said, that's what I want to do someday. I want to become a magician. I imagined in my mind what it might be like to be a magician. And I began dreaming. Well, I saw a magician not too long after that, and he performed at a library. And I went to his show, and after the show, I went up to him and I said, Mr. Magician, I was only about 9 years old, and I said, how did you get started doing magic? Well, he took a little scarf that he had on his neck off, and he said, "Mike, I got started doing magic by doing something magical. And that is, I took a scarf and I waved it up and down, and amazingly enough, it turned into really what the key is. It turned into the word reading. Because that's how I got started doing magic. I started reading all the books I could find." I said, "Well, that's kind of neat." I said, "What kind of books?" And he said, "Well, go to your library and you'll be able to find all kinds of books about reading, about magic." So he took out some cards and he said, "Let me show it to you this way." He took out some cards. He had 3 playing cards. They were big ones, and as you can see, they are 3 different cards, 2 red ones and a black one. There's the King of Hearts, the Ace of Clubs, and the King of Hearts. 2 Kings of Hearts and an Ace. 2 of them are red and the one in the middle is the black. He said, "Mike, if I take out that middle card and I set it down here on the table, which 2 cards do I have left?" I said, "Well, that's easy. You have the 2 red kings left." And sure enough, I was right. He had the 2 kings left. He said, "Well, if I have the 2 kings left, what card do I still have left on the table?" I said, "Well, that's easy. That's the Ace of Clubs." And he said, "You would think that would be correct, wouldn't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "It has to be. That's what the 3rd card was a black ace." He said, "No, Mike, actually the card in the middle was your library card, because that is the most important card you can have. Because with a library card, you can go to the library and you can check out all the books you want, and you can use your imagination, and you can get and learn about hobbies and things." And that's how I started doing magic. So I went to the library, I checked out all the books I could find on magic, and I began learning some tricks. And as I got older, I wanted to study more about who some of those magicians were. I had seen a lot of them on television, and so I ended up buying some books to help me with that. One of the books I bought was a book called The World's Greatest Magic. It was a really neat book because it talked a lot about all the magicians that were around when I was a kid. People like Doug Henning, Siegfried and Roy, Mark Wilson, a bunch of them. And I learned a lot about them and how they got started doing magic. I found another book which has really become what I would call my best book on magic, which was a book written by a magician named Mark Wilson. And it's called The Mark Wilson Course in Magic. As you can see, it's a pretty thick book, but it is filled with all kinds of tricks that you can learn how to do, from rope tricks to card tricks, all kinds of them. And I started learning a lot of tricks there. In fact, one of those tricks I'm going to do for you in a minute. Another book I found as I got older is I wanted to start thinking a little bit more about magic. And a friend of mine wrote a book called The Magic of Thinking Creatively. And it really got my imagination going and how I could develop a magic show and develop tricks to actually mean something. Well, that's kind of how I got started, reading books. And you can read books on whatever subject that you might like. And the reading and your library card are great ways to do it, especially this summer. Take some time, go to your library if they're open, or check them out online and pick them up, and do some reading and be inspired. Use your imagination, and you never know what can happen. Well, I want to share a trick with you that I learned from the Mark Wilson's Course in Magic, and I've been doing that trick for over 40 years in my shows. So with that, let me show it to you. Well, I wanted to show you that trick that I learned well over 40 years ago. And it was a very easy trick and one of the very first ones that I learned from reading a book. And you need 3 ropes for this trick. You need a small piece of rope, you need a medium length piece of rope, and you need a long piece of rope. And as I got into high school, after I had learned this trick, I found out that it could pay off for me. I was not doing very well in math class. That was not my favorite subject. And I really didn't like it. And we had a math teacher in high school who would bring in a college professor to try to stump us with some fun mathematical problems. Well, I never was able to figure them out. And so one day I went to the professor and I said, "Professor, if I show you a magic trick and I can fool you with the magic trick, would you help me figure out these math problems?" He says, "Well, I don't think you'll be able to do it." And I said, "Well, watch carefully. I have a short piece of rope, I have a medium length piece of rope, and I have a long piece of rope." And I said, "Watch carefully. If I put them in my hand side by side, just like that, you will see that from my thumb up, they're all the same length." Well, he wasn't very impressed because he could see the rest of them were all different lengths. I said, "But watch, Professor, if I take the short one, I bring it up to the top, and I take the medium one and I bring it up to the top, and I take the long one and bring it up to the top, once again up by my thumb, that looks like they're all the same length." Well, he still wasn't too impressed, and I said, "Watch, Professor, if I simply blow on them and give them a nice little tug, just like that, something magical happens. Because now they're all 3 the same length. We have one rope of a medium length, we have a second rope of a medium length, and we have a third rope, all the same length." The professor looked at me and he said, "Mike, how in the world did you do that?" I said, "I'm not really sure, Professor, but if I bring all 3 ropes back up to the top, give them a little bit of a shake just like that, we started back with a small piece of rope. And then we had a medium length piece of rope. And last but not least, we had a long piece of rope, just like that." Well, I was able to stump that math professor, and he helped me figure out some problems. And I know the question that a lot of you might wonder is, did you pass your math class? Well, I did, and I have yet to use algebra in my career other than a magic trick illustration. But that just goes to show you something you can learn from reading a book, and that's where I learned that trick, was from a book. Nowadays, it's a lot easier to learn magic tricks. A lot easier, because there's DVDs out there, there is YouTube, there's a lot of different ways to learn magic. But one of my favorite ways is something that's brand new on the market, and it's called the Trick of the Month Club. And I just got my brand new trick, and I thought I'd share it for you. So let me get it ready, and I will show you my newest trick of the month. Nowadays, there's a lot of ways to learn how to do magic. Reading books is probably the best way. But they have DVDs, and there's something brand new for magicians called the Trick of the Month Club. And I subscribe to it, and every month I get a brand new magic trick, and I've got a brand new one that I want to do for you guys today. It's called the $100 bottle and glass trick. It works really good. They ship you everything you need, and they give you some CD instructions that come on CD with music and the whole bit, and you just follow along. And sometimes it's a good trick, sometimes it's not a good trick. And I thought I'd do it for you today.
Hello and welcome to Acme Magic. Today you are going to learn the famous $100 bottle and glass trick. You will need 2 tubes, 1 bottle and 1 glass. You won't need that extra bottle. Save that for later. The idea of this trick is to make a bottle change places with a glass and a glass change places with a bottle. In order for this trick to be successful, the glass must be the same distance from the bottle as the bottle is from the glass. Perfect. Let's start the trick. Cover the bottle with one tube and the glass with the other. Make a magical gesture, don't overact, and the glass and bottle have changed places. Don't lift the tubes yet. You are only going to pretend they change places. That's the $100 secret. You only pretend they change places. Let's start over. Cover the bottle with one tube and the glass with the other. Make a magical gesture and the glass and bottle have changed places. Remember the secret. Now, the hard part is making them change back. Make a magical gesture and now you can lift the tubes, showing they are back to their original position. You've just learned the famous $100 bottle and glass trick. I know what you're thinking. Money well spent. Sometimes your audience won't be fooled by this method, so you have to try another approach. Again, cover the bottle, cover the glass. Make a magical gesture showing the bottle becomes a glass and the glass becomes a bottle, and back again. Any questions? Now remember, the tube on the left is the tube that goes over the bottle, and the tube on the right, wait a minute, that's just one too many bottles. The tube on your right goes over the glass, which immediately makes the glass become the bottle and the bottle become the glass. Now remember, the tube on the right is the tube that goes over the bottle, and your tube on the left, that's just one too many bottles. The tube on your left goes over the glass, which immediately makes the bottle become the glass and the glass become the bottle. It is also possible to do the trick using just one tube, one bottle, and one glass. Cover the glass with a tube, which immediately becomes the bottle, and the bottle becomes, you guessed it, the glass. But to do that, you'll need another bottle. You see, the tube covers the glass, which immediately becomes the bottle, and the bottle becomes, you guessed it, the glass. But to do that, you'll need another bottle. Do you have any questions? At this point, some people might ask how this trick works. Some people might know how this trick works, but most people really don't care. They will often accuse you of using more than one glass. Of course, you know there is never more than one glass. Maybe another bottle, or two, but never an extra glass. Of course, for this trick to really work, you'll know you'll need 2 more bottles. Sometimes you won't even use a glass. Now you've just learnt the famous $100 bottle and glass trick. Remember, don't tell the audience how it works.
Well, that's kind of an interesting trick. I don't really like root beer, so I guess they got my favorite, Diet Mountain Dew. And that, my friends, is the $100 bottle and glass trick. Al? 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 Al!
What?
Hey, I brought you out here to talk to the audience.
What audience?
The audience in the TV screen there, in the video camera.
Hello? What am I supposed to do?
I brought you out here to sing a song.
Song? What song?
You know, the alphabet song.
Oh, yeah. Can I finish my book first?
Al, this is a show. We need you to sing the song now.
Oh, come on. That's not fair. I was reading a book, and right when I get to the best part, you take it away.
Well, I'm sorry, Al, but we have a show to do, and the kids want to hear you sing.
Okay, I'll talk to them, but can't I just finish that one page? Please?
All right, but you got to make it quick.
Oh, thanks. I will never forget this.
You better not. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, this is good. Oh, wow. Who would have thought? No way. Ah! You scared me.
Al, this is silly. I really need you to sing the song now, okay? Please?
Oh, not yet, please. I was almost finished.
Well, I know you were, but I really need your song. Reading's important, I get
But I
it.
can't. The story is so good.
Well, I'm sure it is, but right now you gotta sing. Reading's important,
I know, but it was a classic called Treasure Island.
Wow, that is a good book.
Oh, yes, it is. This guy gets a hold of a treasure map stolen from an old buccaneer. And he and his friend, they get on a ship with a bunch of scared sailors. And they set off for Treasure Island to collect the gold.
Wow.
Yeah, the captain was Long John Silver, a crusty old pirate. His crew started a riot and tried a mutiny to get a hold of the treasure themselves.
Well, then what happened?
Okay, there we are on Treasure Island with greedy pirates, all of us fighting for the gold, digging in the sand, trying to find the treasure chest. When suddenly,
Yeah?
you took my book away.
Well, I'm sorry, Al. I know reading's important, but you gotta sing the song.
It sure is. All of us who read are more successful in school, and you know what that means.
What's that?
It means reading makes you smarter.
Well, you can't read if you don't know all the letters in the alphabet,
Good books can inspire you to use your imagination. Why,
Well,
they
that-
can help you figure out what you want to do with your life.
Right,
Now,
we've
that's
talked
important.
about that. Yeah, we've talked about that. But
And some books are like watching a movie in your head. When I read a book, I make up what the characters look like. I really love that.
well, reading's no good if you don't know the alphabet, right?
Right, every one of those letters is in my book, so you have to learn to read them well.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you sing the song and then you can finish your book, okay?
Oh boy, okay, here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'd like to get back to reading my book.
Finish the song first.
Oh. H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. I really want to read my book.
When you finish the song.
Oh. Q, R, S, T, U. No, I think you're being a little unreasonable here.
Al, just finish the song.
Oh. T, U, V, W, X. Why can't I please read my book?
You can read your book when you finish the song. Okay? All right?
Oh, all right. See, now can I have my book? I can't wait to get back to Treasure Island.
Hey, matey, we'll let you have your book.
That was funny. I just love to read.
Well, very good, Al. Take a bow. Very good. You did a good job. And I'm sure the kids are clapping. Al, it's over now. All right. Well, thanks, guys. And thank you, Al, for sharing with us, all right? Let's get on with the show. Hey, I hope you enjoyed my good old friend Al the alligator. You know, he had a really interesting point. He said he uses his imagination when he reads, and that's something we should all do. You know, he said he imagined what the people looked like and what things smelled like and what it was like to be there on Treasure Island. You know, imagination is a big part of what we're talking about this summer. And as we read and as we use our imagination, we can see a lot of things. Well, Al's got a distant cousin from way back by the name of Sparkly the Dragon. And Sparkly is kind of a unique guy because he's got a gold tooth. That's why they call him Sparkly. He's also got a really, really long tail, doesn't he? What? He doesn't have a tail? Oh, well, he had a tail yesterday when we had our dress rehearsal. Oh, well, you know what? I have just the thing to fix that. I brought with me what I call my time machine bag of doom. Why do I call it that? I don't know, I just think it sounds cool. But you know what? If I put Sparkly in this bag and we use a little time machine, just maybe we can get him back to yesterday, and then we can get him so you can see his long tail. So if we want to go backwards, we kind of got to go counterclockwise. So we'll go counterclockwise a little bit here. And we'll go back in time, hopefully to yesterday. And there we go. Open it up and Sparkly. Did you find your tail? You did. Perfect. Well, Sparkly found his tail. Yes, he did. Wait a second. We went back way too far in time. Sparkly is a baby. That's not good. Let's put him back in here and let's try it again. Maybe we need to not go back so far in time. Now we've kind of got to go back to the future. And so let's go clockwise this time. And we go round and round and round. And there we go. Let's see. Did that work? I think... Oh, yeah, I think it did. There he is. We found it. Perfect. Sparkly. Yay. What? Sparkly? We went way too far in the future. Sparkly's an old dragon with glasses and a cane and a cake with lots and lots of candles. An old dragon. Well, that's not right. Well, let's try it one last time and see if we can find Sparkly and just go back to yesterday. Because yesterday when we did our dress rehearsal, he was all set. All right, let's go. Oh, we got to go back in time again. Let's just go back a little bit this time and see if that works. And Sparkly. Look, yeah, there he is. Right there, Sparkly. We got him. And did that work? By golly, it did. We got him and he's got his tail back just the way it was yesterday. You know, there's a lot of different ways to catch a dragon. And I have seen a movie that my grandkids like called How to Train Your Dragon. And maybe you guys have seen that movie too. But did you know that there's a fun way to catch a dragon? Not just train a dragon, but actually catch a dragon. And that is giving them their favorite treat. And dragons' favorite treats are Red Hots. Yeah, I think it's the fiery breath. I don't like them because they're way too hot and spicy for me, but dragons love Red Hots. And so when I want to catch a dragon, I have a dragon catching container. I put some Red Hots in there just like that. And then I hide it in the castle tower. And when I hide it in the castle tower, some amazing things can happen, because that way, if Sparkly ever gets lost or he ever disappears on me, like if he goes back in that time machine again and takes a little trip, and sometimes I can never find him because he's always goofing around. Every once in a while when I do that, I'll go, Sparkly, where are you? And I'll open up that time machine bag of doom, and you know what? He's gone. He's nowhere to be seen. So then I know that very possibly he might be in that container. Yes, indeed. He is in there trying to get those red hots. And that, my friends, is how you catch a dragon. You know, using your imagination. That's a very untrue fairy tale story about Sparkly the dragon. But it gets our curiosity going and it gets our imagination going. And friends, if you ever want to catch a dragon, you know what you got to do. Use some red hots. Once upon a time, there was a king and his lovely daughter, the princess, who lived in a beautiful castle. And the princess loved to read. She loved to read books. In fact, she read so many books that she got to be very, very smart. In fact, a lot of people thought she was smarter than the king. Well, this lovely princess was given a beautiful crown. And in the center of that crown was a beautiful stone. One of the most beautiful stones in all of the kingdom. And that lovely little princess was so proud of her crown and so proud of her stone that the people in the kingdom really dreamt about the opportunity to even see it. Well, they decided to put the princess's crown on display in the castle. People could come by and they could see it, but they couldn't touch it. It was such a beautiful crown. Well, at night, they would take that stone out of the crown and they would place it in a safe, much like I have here. They would place that crown in the safe and they would lock it up for safekeeping overnight. And then the next morning they would take it out and they would put it back in the crown and put it back on display. Well, one morning they went to open the safe and they noticed something horrible had happened. When they opened up the safe, the jewel was gone. There was nowhere to be seen where that jewel went. They could not figure it out. The king set out all of his horsemen and all of his soldiers to scour the whole kingdom to try to find that jewel. But again, they couldn't find it anywhere. When the princess found out about that fact that her stone had been taken out of her crown, she cried and cried and cried for weeks. She stopped reading all the books that she had been reading, and she went into a really deep sadness and a deep depression. The king tried to console her and he said, "Honey, it's going to be okay. You know, earthly possessions aren't as important as the knowledge and wisdom that you've gotten from reading all those books. You see, things like that can be taken from you, but the wisdom and knowledge from all the reading that you've done stays with you forever. Nobody can take that from you." Well, the princess finally decided maybe she'd start reading books again. She came across a book that said, "Hope is believing that something bad can turn out good." She started reading that book and it began to make her think about what her father had said. And she went back to her father and she said, "I realize now that earthly possessions are not the greatest treasure. The greatest treasure is the good stuff and the knowledge and the wisdom that I have from reading. And I just read a book that said hope is the ability to believe that something good can come from something bad." Well, the king was so glad to hear it. And when they were sitting there and they were looking at that empty crown, something magical happened. For that crown, as they sat there with just a little twinkle and they were smiling about what the daughter had learned in those lessons, the stone reappeared in that crown, just like magic. And that daughter and that king were so happy. She learned two important lessons that day: that wisdom and knowledge is the most important thing that you can get, and nobody can take that from you. And the second lesson she learned is that even in the midst of bad things, good things can come from it. You know, many of us have been cooped up for a while and we haven't been able to go anywhere. We haven't been able to go to school. And sometimes we think, yeah, it's a pretty bad situation. And at times it may have seemed that way. But there are good things that can come from that. And as you read books, you gain wisdom and you gain knowledge. And those are some great things that nobody can take away from you. So I encourage you this summer to check out some books at your library, do some reading, use your imagination. And you can be just like that princess and gain all kinds of wisdom and all kinds of knowledge. And that, my friends, is a story of the Princess Crown Jewel. Well, we've enjoyed a couple of fun stories about dragons and about the princess. And Al shared his story about Treasure Island and how he imagined things of what the characters looked like and what it sounded like and maybe even what it smelled like. But using our imagination is important, and so I want you to use your imagination right now, and I want you to think of your favorite color. I brought a paint can with me, and of course there's not a whole lot in that paint can, but I did bring one, and I've got a nice little crate that it comes in as well. And if we concentrate, use our imagination, just maybe we can make a little magic happen. So think about your favorite color. Imagine some invisible paint. using your imagination, and you can get some invisible paint. I hope you enjoyed that. That's one of my favorite lovely illusions. I don't know where they all come from, but I hope you enjoyed it. Well, using your imagination, we've talked about quite a bit today. We imagined the story of Sparkly the dragon, and we imagined using the paint can to make some invisible scarves appear that were all colored kind of like invisible paint, and using your imagination. Well, I decided I wanted to have you guys help me out with a magic trick right there at home, right where you're sitting watching this show. I have here a picture that was drawn of me a number of years ago by an artist who captured one of my magic shows. He saw my picture and he saw the show, and he decided he would draw a picture, kind of like a cartoon and kind of like a coloring page. And he said, I thought I'd make a little picture for you. He gave it to me. It was a beautiful picture, black and white. But I said, you know, it would look a lot better with color. And he said, I've also given you some magic props to use to make it turn color. He gave me a scarf, a black scarf, but he said there's magic in that scarf. If you just wave it, you'll find the magic. He also gave me a magic wand, and he said if you wave that magic wand up and down and all around, you can make some magic happen. But he said there's one more thing you're going to need. You notice that in this picture there's lots of kids at your show. I said, yeah, I see that. He said, you need some kids to help you. So I thought, what better way than today, right where you're sitting, you help me make some magic happen with this painting. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn this over, just like so, and we're going to try some magic. And what he told me is that if kids wave their hands up at the painting, that some magic can happen. Once you wave the magic wand, you use some magic scarf magic, which he told me what to do, to shake it and some magic would happen. So we'll see if that works. And the kids wave their hands, you should get some magic to happen to that poster, and it should fill with color. So I thought, well, let's try it out. So I grabbed that scarf like he said, and he told me, he said, all you got to do is wave it up and down, up and down. And as you wave it up and down, some magic happens, and yes, there's some color that comes from it. And he said, take that color and wipe it all over the back of that picture. Make sure you get every inch, every corner, the center, every which way, get the color into that picture. He said, then take your magic wand, wave it up and down and all around, up and down and all around, up and down and all around. And then he said, make sure you have the kids help you. So I'm going to ask you right now, watching through the screen, to take and wave your hands right up here at the picture. Wave it right there at the screen, and let's see if we can make some magic happen through video. You ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody wave your hands. Hey, some of you guys aren't waving your hands. Get back to it. You need to wave your hands. We need everybody to do it. Moms and dads, you guys wave your hands too. All right, let's try it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wave your hands. And voila, I think our picture may have turned out. By golly, you know what? It did. What, you want to see it? Well, I don't know if I should show it to you. You really want to see it? Okay, well, I'll turn it around so you can see it. And yes, indeed, your magic fingers, the magic cloth, and the magic wand made our picture nice and colorful of that show that guy visited and drew the picture of me. And I want to thank you guys for helping me out. It's nothing like using your imagination and a little bit of help from you guys, the audience, to make some magic happen. Thank you much. Well, I wanted to share another fun little story with you. This is a story about a couple rabbits, because you know every magician has got rabbits. And this one is about a couple of rabbit friends of mine named Salt and Pepper. And Salt lives over here because he's white, and he lives over here in the white painted house. And Pepper is a black rabbit, and he lives over here in the black painted house. For obvious reasons, white and white and black and black. Salt and Pepper. Well, these two guys love to use their imagination. They always love to play a trick on people, especially the magician. Now let me show you that the backs of the houses look the same as the front. They have black and white on the back just like they do on the front. Well, these two guys always love to play tricks on me. And so I went to go see them one day, and with a little bit of magic they played a trick. Pepper was over in Salt's house, and Salt was over in Pepper's house. And I said, how did you guys do that? And they kind of laughed and they snickered and they said, it's magic. I said, no, you guys played a trick. And just so you see that the fronts look the same as the back, I said, you guys need to go back to your original houses. They said, no problem. And they snapped their little rabbit's feet. And guess what? Salt was back in his house and Pepper was back in his house. Well, I thought that was pretty good. They didn't even actually get out of their houses to move. They just changed with a little bit of magic. I thought, something's up here. Well, I want to show you that the backs look the same as the fronts. And so one day I went to them and I said, you guys want to help with the show? How about you guys do that trick? And they said, what trick? And I said, the trick where you change houses. They said, fine, snap your fingers. I said, boom. And guess what? Salt was over in Pepper's house, and Pepper was over in Salt's house. And when I showed the backs and the fronts looked exactly the same with a snap of my fingers, guess what? Pepper was back in his house, and Salt was back in his house. And the two of them thought it was pretty good. However, the people that were watching the trick said, Mike, we know how you did that. I said, how? I said, the rabbits did it. I didn't do it. They said, no, you didn't. Why don't you turn them around? I said, okay, I can turn the rabbits around. And so I turned the rabbits around. They said, no, not like that. I said, okay, how about like this? And they said, no, that's not what we meant either. We want to see the backside. The backside? Okay, so I turned around, showed them my backside. They said, no, not your backside. And I know what you guys are thinking right now. You think you want to see the backside of the rabbits. Well, I don't know if I should show you the backside of the rabbits because it might ruin the trick. Are you sure you want to see them? You do? Okay. Well, I turned around the back of the rabbits, and guess what? They weren't Salt and Pepper on the back, just like everybody thought. Those two tricky rabbits fooled everybody because now they look like ketchup and mustard. And that, my friends, is my story of Salt and Pepper, the Magic Bunnies. Hey gang, we are at the end of our show, and I've got one last illusion I want to share with you. But before I do, I want to thank you for tuning in today, watching the show. I hope you've had a little bit of fun and you've been entertained. But most importantly, I hope you learned a little about me, a little about using your imagination, and most importantly, doing lots of reading. Summer is a great time to do reading. Going to the library, checking out books. Even though they may not be open full time, I'm sure you're still able to figure out a way to get some books from the library. Do some reading this summer, and stay safe, everyone. And hopefully we'll get to see you again live and in person sometime. Well, without any further ado, let's finish our show with our final illusion. I want you to wave your hands at that screen again, and let's see if we can make some magic happen at the library. Alright, you ready? 1, 2, 3, wave your hands, and voila! What? Nothing there? Oh no! It didn't work! Oh, we forgot the magic words. So let's try the magic words. Reading is magic. Alright, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Wiggle your fingers at the screen. Say the magic words. Reading is magic. And voila! Did it work? It did. Alright. Yes, it did. There's our little friend Hocus back again. And Hocus, yes, he's come back. And we are so glad you tuned in. You gonna say goodbye, Hocus? Well, I will. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the summer. And remember, reading is magic.